What up? You already know what it is. It's Standing 8 Live. You're back with your host, Jay Ford, a.k.a. The Capo. Also here with my big dog, the DOC, and our in-studio guest, Jessie Addison, who we will formally bring in once we hit the airwaves with his interview. As always, DOC, how you feeling this morning before we spill through this intro?
Feeling pretty good, man. Blessed to be here. To sit in the presence of two people that I pretty much did. So it's all good.
That's what's up. What's up with you, Jesse? You doing all right this evening, man?
Man, I'm doing great, bro.
That's what's up, man.
Good.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. Before we get into this thing, as always, fans, we want to say what's up to our sponsors, Nutrition Plus, where health is a way of life. They are your fitness and weight loss specialists. You can check them out at nutritionplus.com or by contacting 317-525-7873. Also, big ups to our sponsor, Says Boxing Academy, aka CBA. You can find them at saysboxing@yahoo.com, or you can call them at 317-525-7873. Again, man, they work on that fitness. They get you healthy. They show you ways to eat right. They show you ways to train. Both, like I say, also have a little boxing added to the mix, man. So if you're trying to get healthy in 2021, you need to check them out. Also, last but not least, our other lead sponsor is the Conceited Nobody, which is an entertainment podcast that airs on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. It can be found on all your various podcast platforms, wherever you may select your information from. They have a gumbo of info for you every Tuesday night, man. It's very entertaining. So if you in your car or at the crib, be sure to tune in to the Conceited Nobody on Tuesday nights. Also, big ups to our supporters, UBF Boxing, Glove to Face, as well as the ringside.biz and all our prior guests who have been on the show, whether you're a trainer, promoter, friend, foe, or fan. You know what I mean? We appreciate all the love here at Standing 8 Live. Before we really get into this thing, as I've already alluded to earlier, we do have Jessie Addison in the building. Of course, we will also talk about the Adrian Bronner fight, whatever you want to do. We'll give our opinions on that particular bout, as well as the Oscar Valdez, what some would call an upset, what others would call just an excellent timed punch in the game, but we'll also break that down as well as a little history. But before we get going on this thing, Doc, is there anything you want to add, man, before we dive into this history segment?
No, I'm just excited to talk about it. It's a pretty decent weekend of boxing, so it's a lot to recap.
Yeah.
It has been ebbing and flowing where it was, some weeks where we don't have anything, but being the fact that we do got that to talk about and interesting guests. I say interesting because we always got something to talk about.
Right.
It should be a good show, man, so I'm excited about it.
Well, that's what's up. Well, fans, you already know what we do is we start off with a little history. We're taking it back on this day in history segment to February 25th, 1964, Miami Beach. Some of you may already know where I'm going with this when I said 64 in Miami Beach, but I'm talking about none other than the victorious Cassius Clay at 22 years old, stopping heavyweight champ at the time, Sonny Liston. This was a bout where Clay wasn't even, and yes, I'm saying Clay because this is before he was Muhammad Ali, for some of you fans that are wondering. But this is a fight where Cassius took the bookmakers, he gave them the blues, man. He upset all the odds that, of course, were in the favor of the champion, who at the time, a little longer in age, if you will, but Sonny Liston was still known to be a devastating puncher that could get any fighter out in that time, really at any time of a bout. As we all know, I'm not going to harp on Muhammad Ali's career and his legendary status in terms of what he meant to the world in and out of the sport of boxing. Just a legendary figure. But I didn't want to skip over this particular moment because I feel like it was a fight that sort of started to cement who Cassius Clay was, you know what I mean, in terms of the brashness and people like, damn, who is this young kid talking all this shit, you know what I mean? So I think it's important from that aspect of it was the start of the greatness. What do you feel, Doc, in terms of when you think about this particular bout?
I feel the same way. What I'm trying to look up now, I want to see exactly how old Sonny Liston was at this point. because you alluded to the fact of him being sort of long in the tooth, and he passed away when he was 40.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to see exactly how old he was when he did fight Ali. We all know when you go back and you watch highlights of Muhammad Ali, you see his ascension to the top. His interviews with prior to the Sonny Liston fight is usually where people start at. Far as like how brash he was. He came out, Sonny Liston. For people who are like modern day fight watchers, for lack of a better word,
Okay.
they don't understand the mystique that Sonny Liston had at this time.
Right.
He had like that Mike Tyson shit.
Mm-hmm.
He had the seedy or alleged seedy affiliations with the mafia.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a friendly demeanor. And you gotta understand the heavyweight world was coming off the likes of a Joe Louis, somebody who was real personable and stuff. So he was like from the Jack Dempsey ilk. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who just, and so when you contrast that with a fighter just coming off the Olympics, somebody who's known to be flashy, a fantastic boxer, but not somebody who's frightening.
Right.
So
okay. Yeah.
it was like the elements was gonna clash in this particular event. Of course, we looking at it through lenses of somebody who was younger, who wasn't there, so we got a whole different perspective than most people there because we know the outcome. But if we're able to just in our minds go back to that time, I can only imagine like the excitement around there because again, you alluded to the fact that he was Cassius Clay. He hadn't yet publicly been known as Muhammad Ali. Of course, he was part of the Nation of Islam at the time, but it was they held it back because they didn't want that to interfere before he got the title. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of political things going on at the time, so he couldn't unveil that he actually was take the mask off. Muhammad Ali. So he come out there and Muhammad Ali is the only boxer that I can go on YouTube and be like, I have to see these fucking quotes.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
I'm talking about you can go and watch a 30-minute video of Ali quotes, the most personable heavyweight fighter ever, maybe athlete ever.
I agree.
And this was the genesis of that. He talked this shit before the Floyd Patterson fight, but it wasn't on a stage like this. And Ali, even though people eventually disliked him, he was favored in this fight. This was pre-Vietnam, pre him being affiliated with the Nation of Islam. So they saw him, they didn't believe in him, but they like what they considered a circus act. And on that night in Miami, man, he went out there and he beat up the bully.
Yep, I agree. What about you, Jesse, man, when you take a look back and think about this particular legendary fight of Ali and Sonny Liston clashing?
I mean, like you two alluded to, it was obviously a platform where he got to, display his brashness and, him being able to like predict fights and, just his charisma, his personality. But another thing that I look at is he was at the prime. At being 22, you might not think that he was at his prime, but I think he's one of those fighters that kind of hit his prime early, in his career. And this was where you can see Ali with all his speed and, all the reflexes and, a little bit of power, everything, you know what I'm saying? He just had the complete package, at that time. And he was able to not only, talk the talk, but walk the walk at the same time with the things that he displayed in the ring. So, yeah, it was definitely a momentum to building, Muhammad Ali, at that moment.
And if I can't interject a bit, his speed and his reflexes was impeccable at this time. But it's always the great question in his career is, did he really lose his prime when he was kicked out of boxing? Right. Like those years, like this may have been the best we've seen him physically, but I believe that what if, you know what I'm saying, the ultimate what if had he not got kicked out the game or whatever and stuff with his boxing ban for refusing to go into the draft. So that's a good point that you raised right there, man. I never thought about that point. We know intellectually that he was intellectually at his prime after maybe even the first Frazier fight. You know what I'm saying? I think that's when he had to smarten up and do different things.
Start changing styles.
Things, Because
it's rare that you see a heavyweight fighter who faced two destructive, intimidating fighters who was just
Yeah,
ravaging the division, whether with listing and then Foreman.
Foreman, I'm about to say
And
shit,
beat them
Foreman.
both convincingly. So
Shit.
I think that we seen Ali so much that in the, you know what I'm saying, that we don't appreciate what he really done. Even though we appreciate him, we still don't properly appreciate what he done something in boxing that has never been done, the way he transcended. And I say that to the fact of where if you go to most popular people in history, the history of the world, not just athletes,
Right.
history of the world, he's easily top 10.
I would agree, and that was kind of what was going to be my last question to you both as we close this particular segment. But as much as he saluted, do you feel like it's still enough? That was going to be my question. So you kind of semi-answered it in a sense of saying, although we all know he was great, I mean personally, I don't know that he gets what he should get in terms of that global icon. Fuck sports icon. Let's just say global, because we're so quick sometimes in society. If a person's a politician, we call them an icon just because they happen to be in politics versus a sport. But I think he was a person that was iconic in a sense. He touched all kind of genres, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Within what he did, whether it been protesting, whether it been like you saying fuck the draft. You know what I'm saying? I think the things he stood for and stood on were things that, you know what I'm saying, people might have tried to call him un-American, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean, but really, he was a person that personified what you were supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Not that as only a black man, but as an American and those freedoms that you have in terms of your will. You know.
And when you say personified, I think that what he personified was being a man.
Yeah.
And not being goaded by the media or the news telling him when to be a man. Like with athletes today, any sort of protest, in my opinion, is manufactured and it's not sincere. It's a way to increase their personal brands and stuff and to bring attention to their own shit. They start selling t-shirts, you know what I'm saying? They put fucking BLM on their shoes. And it's not sincere in my opinion. He did an ultimate sacrifice. And that's what, I don't want to say any athlete specifically, but when they not sacrificing because they not fucking up their money.
Mm-hmm.
They not losing endorsement deals where he had to fucking go borrow money. He had to do exhibitions and stuff to survive. Like, he really was a sacrificial lamb in the context of he gave up all his fortune and fame for his beliefs. And while athletes get out here, put up their fists and all that stuff, they're not losing money. It's so manufactured that Nike's behind them. You know what I'm saying? The NBA, everybody sending emails talking about, we're going to do this for y'all.
Do it on Tuesday.
And the thing is, it's not the same. So
No,
I hate
totally
to see anybody
agreeing.
try to compare themselves to Ali because they still making millions of dollars and stuff while they quote unquote protest.
Right.
One more thing, Colin Kaepernick, they doing a documentary on him. He getting movie deals and shit. Nike done turned him into a global. So they don't understand how it's all a game today. You know what I'm saying? But they learn, right or wrong, they learn from Ali's impact.
I can agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that, honestly. And Jesse, you can allude to this. You're a professional athlete in the day. Can you just talk about, and we're going to get into your interview, but in the context of this conversation, can you just talk about how sometimes things can be clouded, the message can be clouded by an individual? You know what I mean? Like, they could quote Jesse saying something, but it might not be in the context that you wanted it in terms of what you meant it to stand for. You know what I'm saying? As we talk about Ali and all the things that he says, do you think sometimes athletes are misrepresented? I'll say it in that term. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And especially with a sport like boxing, it's kind of hard to tell, the common fan, all the ins and outs, all the business and, all the politics and everything that surrounds the sport. They just see what they see in the ring, so yeah, a lot of things can be perceived wrong, and everything is about perception. So yeah, a lot of athletes can get misunderstood by things that they say.
Well,
They get taken out of context.
Yeah. Well, that's what's up, fans. That's our This Day in Boxing History segment, shining a little light on none other than the great one, Muhammad Ali.
Shout out to Sonny Liston too, man. I think he underrepresented as far as boxing too.
Yeah, and I think they did a good movie here recently on him. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it just kind of showed how, for lack of better terms, he was almost hated as a heavyweight champion within some of the masses in terms of treatment. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying everyone, or definitely people in his community, but it's a very interesting movie. The title's missing me right now, but fans, if you got a chance, just look up that Sonny Liston movie, and it talks about his controversial death. I mean, but it's very factual, although opinionated. You know what I mean? Once again, fans, that was this day in boxing history.
John, it's factual, opinionated.
No, I didn't say factually opinion. I'm saying although it's opinionated, it does have facts in the story. It's not one of those that's just so off you know. No, but I'm just saying that it's not one of those stories that's so made together that there's not much truth in it, although it's on a person that really exists. You know how sometimes they do that shit. But
creative licenses.
Yeah, that bullshit. But anyway, man, fans, we got Jessie Addison in the building, super welterweight prospect, lives here in Indy base, from the Michigan area, you know what I mean? Champ, first of all, just tell the fans how you feeling this evening before I get to babbling on too much, man.
I'm feeling great, man. Just blessed to be here another day.
Hey, man, I can dig that, man. So
I keep forgetting he imported.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Indianapolis based.
Yeah. And I want to kind of talk about that before I even get into your last fight, man. Right. Let's just talk about, you coming from the Michigan area, you know what I mean? And I guess I'm going to kind of tie two things in at the same time. Michigan area, and then you have a family background that's Michigan based, and both are in the sport of boxing. When I say both, I mean your brother and your father. Can you kind of talk about, one, what brought you to Indiana in terms of from Michigan, and then two, those ties and bonds with your father and your brother, and how important they are to you right now today?
Well, what brought me to Indianapolis was really not like a career decision based on boxing or anything. It was just a life change. Michigan is a bit of a smaller state, less opportunity, especially the city that I'm from. Only got about 50,000 people maybe, so it's quite small. So just was looking for different opportunity as far as jobs and with boxing and things like that. So moved down here, got connected with Jason. Jason got me into House of Champions with George, and spent a little time with him, and just went from there. I got my degree in auto collision at Lincoln Tech, so I can say that the move that I made actually did pay off. I had to move here for a better opportunity, and that's what I did. So.
Right. So then let's talk about the lineage you come from in terms of your father's background, if you could kind of explain to the fans, as well as your brother, you know what I mean, and both of their impact in terms of your career, or when you decided to go pro, or, just kind of give the fans that sort of family feel of where you're from, you know what I mean?
Right. My father, he boxed around like the 80s, Golden Gloves era. Him and my uncle, they was very successful in Golden Gloves. They didn't quite get to professional ranks, but then he decided to open up a gym, and he started training my brother Lorenzo Reynolds, and over his career he won numerous national champions. I think around like 7 or 8 maybe, including Golden Gloves, national champion. He won that back to back. Him and Floyd Mayweather is the only 2 fighters in Michigan that only win the Golden Gloves championship back to back.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Damn, that's what's up.
That's some history for real. And he just barely missed out on Olympic trials, and decided to turn pro. He turned pro with Al Heyman, and he went 15-0 as a professional. And after that, he just called his career to an end. So just being around him and growing up around the atmosphere just as a kid, and starting my career as well. I started my career when I was 8 years old. So just being in and out and coming up around him just gave me a good knowledge of the game. And my dad as well, having a knowledge of the game, just gave me an overall, I wouldn't say advantage, but just a
foundation.
Yeah, foundation. Yeah, that always carried me through my career.
And how old was your brother when he turned pro with Al? How long ago was this?
He turned pro, so he was going to the 2004 Olympics that he missed out on. So around about 2005.
And I asked that though because this is before Al became
the blow up. Yeah,
he was actually one of the first ones. Yeah, one of the first ones.
Yeah, I caught that too. You know what I'm saying? I caught that too.
That's low key a flex.
Straight up on some family shit. That was up though. And speaking on just kind of the family thing, can you just let us know, like looking at your older brother now, what's the difference in you guys' age?
He's 37.
So y'all got a little nice little gap.
Mm-hmm.
Was it watching your brother that helped you fall in love with boxing, or was it another fight that you saw, or even another fighter, even maybe in the Michigan area, that made you say, you know what, before, you know what I mean? You said 8 years old, so I'm just trying to take the fans to that mindset of, you know what, like I'm gonna lace these up, and I'm about to do this myself. You know what I mean?
I mean, well, just like I say, just being around him, he had over 200 amateur fights.
Okay.
So I was along the way for all those fights.
So you was a gym rat as a kid, so to speak. Yeah,
so you talking about guys like Andre Durrell and Andre Ward and Devin Alexander, Rasheed Warren. These all guys that I seen when they was amateurs. Watching these guys. So I got to see like some of the best fights and be at some of the best experiences. Just that alone made me fall in love with boxing. So
that's what's up. And as you came through the amateur ranks, you know what I mean, you started at 8 years old. I'm assuming you working under pops and brothers' tutelage. Is that correct? Or did you have
always.
So you coming up through them. When was the day or what in your mind said, I'm gonna do this shit as a professional? Like I'm gonna do this shit. Like I'm competing right now. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna do this shit like as I get older when I become a man.
Well, I don't think I really made a decision to fight professional until I actually became a man. I always, competed in the sport, and I always had a love for the sport. But when I got around like 16 or 17, I really started to develop strength and develop like a lot of talent that I was seeing that I had. So I was really thinking like, I can do this right now,
So speaking on that, you coming up as a youth, you coming up, was it Saginaw, Michigan?
Yeah, Saginaw, Michigan.
Yeah. So you know what I mean, is for some that don't know, it's a rougher part of Michigan. You know what I mean? Were you a kid that you coming up in fighting, in structure fighting? But I'm saying, were you able to stay out of trouble as a kid, or did you kind of get in some of them scruffles as you develop in your hands? You know what I mean?
It was always fights every time I go to the bus stop, or fights, when I go down the street playing basketball. I mean, I stayed fighting.
You just stayed fighting.
I stayed fighting.
Yeah, I didn't want to put it out there like where fans are like, damn, is he saying he's a badass little kid? That ain't what I'm saying.
I can even recall one time that I got into a fight with my next door neighbor right before the boxing gym, and my dad and my brother, we standing outside, and he like, I ain't gonna say he was like, cause I was about to get ready to go to the gym. He like, no, we finna fight today. So stood out in the front yard, all in the circle, fought. Then right after that, I went to the boxing gym.
Did you win?
Yeah.
Hey, you down there wouldn't have been they down there dropped your bag after that. You know what I mean? That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Speaking on that, let's talk about as you start to turn pro. You know what I mean? This was about 2-3 years ago you turned pro, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 4.
I turned pro in 2016.
So you're about 4.
Yeah,
about you know 4 what I mean? About 4. I know it's been an up and down situation for you in terms of that. Can you talk about one of the biggest obstacles thus far that you've overcome with being a professional boxer? And it doesn't necessarily have to be fight or you know what I mean. It could be the business thing. It could be one of them days where you thought about saying fuck boxing. You know what I mean? Just one of those big obstacles where you had to talk to yourself to keep going.
Not really. It wasn't really a moment that I felt like giving up or anything, but one of the things that I felt like just kind of got me over the hump was just fully dedicating myself, you know, getting my weight where it needed to be, getting my diet where I needed to be, and just coming to that realization of living like a fighter, you know. So that was just one of the things that pretty much got me over the hump.
That's what's up.
And we say
I
living
started
like a
off my
fighter.
career at fighting at 168.
Mm-hmm.
My last fight was at 147. So
That's where you need to be.
Hey, people don't understand. I always say that boxers are, well, people say it all the time, but I don't think fans understand that boxing is a lonely sport. Because it's not like, you know what I'm saying, we gonna go have a team practice, you know what I'm saying, let's have a layup line. Well, because to go from that weight to welter, it take a lot of personal dedication.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I'm
that
saying?
not eating some shit at the crib. That's when your fiance, y'all ain't married yet, are you?
No.
Okay, so your fiance, and that's when your baby daughter might be eating some snacks and shit. You damn near got to go in the other room, so you know what I mean?
You be sticking her granimals.
Yeah. You be like, shit, it's for the baby. There can't be that much fat in them. Shit. That's what's up. I can respect that. So let's start to talk about this professional career of yours. You know what I mean? And I want to flash back to your last fight. Was that this past weekend or was it
last weekend, last Friday?
Fought in Iowa. You know what I mean? We know COVID is going on, fans. So there's only certain pockets of the Midwest jumping with action. You fought a guy in Sean West, who was an area guy, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, sir.
Unanimous decision loss. Take us through the fight, man, and grade yourself with the perspective of the outsider looking in at Jessie.
Okay, so I'm a realist when it comes to myself in fighting, because that's the only way that I can ever improve or, you know, fix mistakes or anything, you know what I'm saying? So I'm a realist and I'm a man first. So I felt like I outboxed the guy the first 3 rounds easily, just clean a slate with it, you know. Then probably around about the 4th or 5th round, I felt like he won maybe 1 round and maybe the last round. So I gave him 2 rounds. So I gave it 4-2. It was a 6-round fight. So I gave him 2 rounds, and I just felt like I did everything a professional fighter was supposed to do. I used my jab. I went to the body. You know, I used good ring generalship. I was slipping good, making him miss. Just everything that a boxer was supposed to do. So I felt like I definitely won the decision. So it's a thing, you know, when fighters have, you know, fights in their hometown, they pretty much have to sell tickets and pretty much pay for their opponent to come in. And, you know, sometimes they pretty much are paying for a win,
Right.
you know, and that's just the business of boxing, you know, and I understood that coming in, but I still felt like my skills and my ability was going to show, you know, to the point where it was going to be, you know, inevitable for me to win. So that didn't pan out as how I expected to, and I just took it as a man and moved on.
Let me ask a question real quick. When you look back at the fight, and knowing that you're going to somebody's hometown,
right,
and it's tough to, like you said, with the ticket sales, do you think that what could you done different to change that outcome?
I felt like I could have had a different game plan. Maybe I shouldn't have had the game plan of outboxing him and outpointing him and, you know, making him look crazy. I knew he was a bit of a wild fighter going in, so my whole thing was to make him miss and, you know what I'm saying, kind of just outbox him. So I felt like I had the wrong game plan going in.
And when you say, who trained you in this fight?
My father.
Okay.
My father and Jose. It was a bit of a
Spearman.
I was here. I was here for a while. Then I went back with my dad.
So
for a
Jose
week.
is who you working with?
Yeah, Jose is who I
Spearman
work with here.
when
Jose
you
Spearman.
here. Okay, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Do you like? Was there at any point in your head it was like I need to make an adjustment? I mean, like in between rounds and things like that.
Yeah. I definitely reached to make an adjustment and tried to land some more power shots, but like I say, it was just a kind of caught up in a fight and caught up in emotions, so it just panned out that way.
Let me ask you this, and I know, and I've seen you spar. I've been around you a long time, and just knowing your style and watching you fight, whether it's been a victory or whether I've seen you lose in a decision that I felt you won the fight. I wasn't here in this particular fight personally, but just drawing back from my visuals in terms of your style. Do you feel like sometimes when you're an IQ level boxer, or when you're skilled like that in terms of being calculated,
Right.
and maybe not so flashy or whatever else, that sometimes that can be to your detriment, regardless to how clean your punches are landing and shit? Do you feel sometimes that cerebral style hurts you?
Yeah, it definitely can be a disadvantage because everybody don't see the same thing. Whereby I might have made him miss a punch by an inch. Somebody else might have thought he landed that punch from a different angle, So it's all different type of things that is an advantage and a disadvantage. You can look at the other fighter and say that they maybe dictating the pace or putting on more pressure, so you get them the round or the fight. So I feel like it all depends on the judges and what they're looking for. But on this case, I just feel like they had another agenda before I even stepped in the ring.
Right. So can you just kind of talk about that as being a professional fighter and knowing sometimes the deck is stacked against you, but you still take a particular fight. We know at this level it ain't for no millions and shit.
Exactly.
But just talk about some of the things that goes through your formula in terms of taking a fight, even knowing I'm going to Iowa or I'm going to West Virginia. You know how that shit be,
Right.
up in them hills and shit.
Like I say, I'm a realist at the end of the day, and regardless of any judge or any referee, at the end of the day, it's two men in that ring, and I'm the only person that got something to do about the outcome in that ring. So that night, I can honestly say I didn't put the full effort that I should have put forward to secure the victory the way that I did. But yes, you do have to sometimes take a lopsided fight, because you get tired of waiting around and being inactive, and you want to be active, and sometimes the fight might not present itself on your home soil or somewhere where you're more familiar at. So you have to roll the dice and take those chances. So like I say, I'm a man at the end of the day, and I should have just stepped up more and made sure I sealed the win. But do I feel like I deserve to win? Absolutely.
Right. I can feel that answer completely. Before I'm gonna leave it to you, Doc. After this, I just have one more question I really wanted to make sure I talked about, and that was your management deal. You know what I mean? I believe it was last year or so you signed a management deal. Can you kind of talk about that and what brought you to that thought process of, man, maybe I need a management team to kind of handle some of these calls and handle some of these other things to allow me to focus, or whatever your thought process may have been?
Well, actually, currently that contract, it didn't.
It didn't come to fruition for.
It went to fruition. We spent the year together and we did one fight together, but for some reason we just didn't see eye to eye. And actually, he released me. So
Okay.
I was supposed to be in that contract for 3 years, but we only did a year together. So I'm just blessed to be
out
free.
of it.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, okay, perfect. So let me ask you this question, and then I'm gonna shut the fuck up, because I think this is good advice for some of these younger fighters as they're coming up.
Right.
They see some fighters that are so-called self-managed, self-promoted, so to speak. Just talk about that, of being under a management contract and then giving that sigh of relief when you get free. Just kind of talk about those differences there.
I mean, it all depends on what your manager is, what's their whole agenda. everything is, you know what I'm saying, about the agenda. You always want to make sure, you know what I'm saying, what's they plan for you and what type of fights that they want to give for you,
Right.
and just the whole plan and agenda, you know. So before you sign your name on the dotted line, you got to make sure everything is mapped out and planned out the way that you want your career to go, instead of the way that they want their career, you know what I'm saying, to progress and build their company.
No, absolutely. It makes complete sense.
So what's next for you? You have anything lined up, or you just got back in the gym?
I don't have anything lined up right now, but right now, I'm looking to build on some home soil, whether that's either in Indianapolis or either Michigan, build on some home soil for a few fights and then get back out there and roll the dice again, you know?
Right.
That's what I'm all about. I'm all about competitive fights, you know? And that's the reason that, you know, I stand where I am today, is because I take competitive fights.
That's what's up. Let me ask you this question. I'm not trying to, let me figure out the word I want to say. Push you in any direction at all. But let me just ask you this. I don't know if you watched or seen, Four Champs has a so-called sports network here, integrated TV shows, and the sports network, for those fans that may not know, that's what shows all you. It really turned into Local 23. Remember number 23 used to have all your shit.
I'm from Anderson.
You know what I mean? Shit, Anderson games will be on there.
Hey, cause we was
Shit,
worldwide.
Anderson games will be on
That
there.
shit
But
wasn't coming to Anderson.
But
No,
I'm
fuck
asking you that just simply because, as you talk about, you know, taking on your career again in terms of the managerial side and making some of those more decisions in terms of your fights, would it be a platform that you would be interested in terms of fighting locally? I mean, I'm only asking this just because you just mentioned the local scene.
Yeah.
There's only a few promoters here, but I know certain fighters have certain feelings about promoters. That's why I'm asking you. I'm asking you who you willing to work with. I'm kind of being your salesman right now without being your agent. We ain't gonna get no paperwork, Doc. Hold the paperwork. But Doc want to email you the shit right now. But I told him hold on. But no, seriously. Are there people that you're willing to work with here in the city? I guess that's more or less what I'm getting at, minus the bullshit jokes.
I'm willing to work with everybody. You know, everybody pretty much already know how I'm cut. I'm always gonna respect you. You know what I'm saying? You always gonna get professionalism from me. So I work with every, you know, guy around here within my weight class. You know, pretty much as far as sparring and networking and everything. Everybody know that I'm pretty much cool, mutual guy. So like I said, it's the same thing but promoting. Like I'm willing to show up and be professional and, you know, respect you, and it is what it is. So yeah, I'm definitely willing to work with Four Champs or whoever else is willing to work with me.
Understood.
How many fights do you want the rest of this year?
The rest of this year?
Yeah.
Three more fights. Yeah.
Even if COVID wasn't existing, three is what you looking at.
Yeah,
That's it.
3 or 4 more.
So
fights.
you looking to fight like quarterly down there?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean, every few months. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to stay as active as I can this year.
Okay, that's what's up. I got one more question. I lied. Shit, I lied, man. Birth of your daughter has happened since you've been a professional, since your career. Talk about what that's done for your battery pack, man. Talk about what that does or hasn't done. I mean, if it hasn't changed the pace of your career, let me know. But I'm only asking because you have a daughter, and then we had Thomas Lamana on here. I don't know if you're familiar with him, Cornflake. He's from the East Coast. Fights at 54, so just above your weight class. But he told me I needed a daughter. You know what I'm saying? So I'm asking because you have a daughter and you're a fighter. Just talk about, you know what I mean, what that means in terms of your family structure and your career and what you want to do for your daughter and or show your daughter.
Yeah, my daughter, that's definitely all the fuel that I need. So like you said, that backpack, yeah, that's definitely activated. Anytime that I think about her or see her, you know what I'm saying, it's no longer that I'm boxing just for my boxing career. I'm boxing, you know, to put out a better future for her and, you know what I'm saying, make a better way for her. So definitely, yeah, she's definitely an inspiration, and she's rough and she loves it as well. So yeah.
That's what's up. I can respect that, man. You got anything, DLC, before we let him do his thing, and we appreciate his time,
we
man. And
definitely
salute
always appreciate his time. Always appreciate his professionalism. His show in and out the ring, and anytime we don't just say this. Anytime you want a platform where you come, I really wish you could. I didn't even know you fucking fought. And if you would have come here and want to talk about it, man, just remember you got an open door policy where you can always come here, chop it up. You got something to talk about. Come and kick it with us.
And not only that, man, we would really love to come and do a piece on you and your family, man.
Okay.
And straight up, just concentrated on lineage, man, in the sport of boxing. I know your dad is he still working with Jermaine Franklin.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying. So maybe we get to show that mix of the layers of the crew. You know what I mean? From your dad to your older brother who's doing training now, down to you who's fighting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we would love to do that piece and come up to Saginaw and kick it, let you take us to them barbecue joints. You know what I mean? Straight up, man. I incorporate food because we gonna be up there and get hungry. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna act like I ain't gonna get hungry. You know what I mean? But once again, Jesse, we appreciate your time, man. And before we close out this interview, if you could please give the fans your handles, where they can get at Jessie Addison, where they can catch footage, whatever it is, man. Let them know how they can get at you, big guy.
You can find me on Facebook at Champ Addison, and on Instagram at what is my Instagram?
So you got too many people on this team. He don't even know his Instagram. He like, shit, y'all find this brother, man. Y'all need to find him.
Instagram is Jessie Atomic Jab Addison.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. And big ups once again to your father and your brother, man. And I see the work y'all doing, and I salute it, man, because it's beautiful to see the work of family. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck what the business is, but especially in the sport of boxing, like, it's beautiful to see what you and your family have going on. And man, Standing 8 Live wishes you well, and we want to thank you again for your time with us tonight in studio.
All right, I appreciate it, bro.
Jessie Addison, man. Shit.
I know you gotta get to that baby, man, but you can sit in with us the rest of this little chop it up about the past weekend.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What we got next?
Next, we're going to talk about that Adrian Broner fight. That's what we got next. If you ask me what's next, is the Adrian Broner fight. We're going to talk about his return 2 years out of the ring. I can't even remember his opponent's name, fans. I'd be lying if I sit here and act like Adrian Broner faces the next greatest. No, he didn't. Now, my question to you all, I don't know if you caught the fight or just watched highlights. My question is simply this. Is there another run for Broner, or is it just a run to get out of here? He's a 4-division world champion. We know that, right? So are we looking at his shit cemented, or is there something left in Broner that can elevate his status? I'm going to put it like that. Out of what you guys seen, I get it was a 2-year layoff. I wasn't impressed at all.
Just me, myself, I haven't been impressed with Broner in over like 4 years. Last time I was impressed with Broner is when he got beat by Maidana. And I'm not saying because he lost, but he actually fought in that fight. Broner right now is just smoke and mirrors. He's just a name. And even that's wearing thin. The bridges that he's burned are starting to come to fruition. It's starting to pop up. His uncanny ability to just get on people's nerves is different when you're not winning fights convincingly. People don't treat you the same. And man, I think his lack of self-awareness or self-accountability is going to continue to burn these bridges. As a man, as a black man, I do want to see him prosper and thrive, but he has to be. When you in the game and you're not controlling the game, you got to play the game until you get back in control. That's just on the outside, and I don't have a strong desire to see. I'm telling you, man, Adrian Broner's treading into the John Ruiz territory as far as excitement in the fight. This shit's fucking boring. It is terribly boring. It's like watching paint dry. It's not like I wasn't impressed in this fight at all.
I wasn't at all.
It's like it seemed like he's fighting for a check. I could be wrong, but when he get in the ring, man, it's like he has no desire. His face don't look like a fighter. He don't have that. Let's just go get it. I'm ready to get it on. And even between rounds, it's just on something like he focused. It's too conversational in this corner. He's like the fighter, like he need a new trainer, but you realize that he's seemingly untrainable. He has to run his own training camp, and this is all from the outside looking in. But his communication with Stafford is just like, "Hey, Adrian, you got to do better. Shut the fuck up. I'm doing good. What you think?" And then Stafford just fucking giggle like some fucking schoolgirl, man. It's terrible.
I'll agree with that, but here's what I'm gonna say: comfort. That's the term I'm gonna use with Bronner. He's comfortable doing all that bullshit right now. He's comfortable with doing too much on the gram. He's comfortable with doing too much in the ring. Just as you talking to, even with your trainer, it's too much. Addison, what you think, man? When you look at Bronner, you know there's got to be some personality that goes into the AB, the whole character. But okay, let me ask you this: as a fighter, right? Jabbing Jessie Addison, atomic jab. Okay, so then let's talk about him and let's talk about Jessie Addison and how do you find that balance to be productive? You see what I'm saying? Where it goes not only show but productivity as it pertains to this Adrian Bronner question.
I just feel like Adrian Bronner, he all done. Like he say, it's just with Adrian Bronner, it's all about the check. And with his performance, it's the same old Adrian Bronner, if not worse. You know, lack of a jab. Then he don't pick it up to around about the 6th round and try to finish off the fight strongly. Then so it's just the same old story. Don't feel like he ever don't get it together and be able to make it run, especially at top champions. So
okay, let me ask y'all this question then, and we gonna get the fuck off this topic because I think we all damn near on the same boat. No, I feel like Adrian Bronner's best days.
He done.
They've already happened.
He one of the fighters that, like I say, he started fighting at 8 years old, over 200 amateur fights.
Yeah. So you saying the motor oil's gone out the engine?
Gone.
It's gone out the engine. Let me ask y'all this.
Real quick, even into that regard, it's a lot of fighters who fought back then. Adrian Bronner don't got a gang of professionals.
The miles, yeah.
And it's like, to me, man, and it could be, like, we don't want to discount his out of ring activities. He said some things that showed his vulnerability, like keep me in the ring. So it's like, he the type of person, trouble. He got so many yes men around him. He don't got nobody around him who would check him. You know what I'm saying? And I think he's clearly asking for that when he asked for the Floyd sparring. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's saying what he need. And all that my opinions about him are professional opinions. It's all about the sport. It's not personal. I don't have any negative feelings towards him personally. I do wish that he would be more happy outside the ring than inside the ring. I'd rather see him be a 4-time champion outside the ring than inside the ring.
I can agree with that. I guess I'm going to say this, and I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm going to just pose this question to y'all. Adrian Bronner, 4-division world champion, Hall of Famer?
I don't know the 4 champions he beat.
I can rattle them off for you right now.
Go ahead.
No, I can't. I'm answering the question. Don't pose the question to me. I asked the motherfucking question. No, but Addison, seriously, if you look back in Bronner's respective career, just 4-division world champ.
That's tough.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
That's tough.
Because we talking about what he fell short of, but I think that's because we know.
Yeah.
If you look at his talent, he should have
talk about what he accomplished.
Right.
It's just that everything that he done thus far, the accomplishments, they gonna diminish it pretty much.
So you almost think his ladder washes the before, like he's almost gonna be remembered for the tactics of today.
It's hard to win a division. Championship of 4 divisions. It's a lot of people never done it.
Never. It's very few.
It's hard unless you move right. So you setting up fights against Ponce DeMarco. You know what I'm saying? It's tough.
You said they catch them in the right moment of a title.
If you have the right management, man.
He was moved the right way.
Yeah, he was definitely moved.
So then does that discredit the title? I'm only asking.
Hold on, because I'm going to say 2 different things.
Okay, come on.
As Jesse said, 4 divisions. Only Oscar, Floyd, and Manny done.
Manny.
So he ain't elite company and stuff, and you can even say shit, I don't give a fuck about it. Manny was moved in a particular way.
Okay.
So, but Manny, he did beat great fighters, but the boxing Hall of Fame, is iffy to me because if I was actually doing Hall of Fame, Arturo Gatti wouldn't be in my Hall of Fame. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but it's all subject to personal opinions. I don't know. The boxing Hall of Fame to me is flaky. But what we got next? I do want to say also on that card though, I was impressed with Robert Easter. Robert Easter looked good. He looked sharp.
Talk about his opponent too. I mean, like Adrian Bonner's opponent. Like, who did he fight? Like, he's 14-0, but
that's the thing right there, man. Broner right now, I'm gonna tell you, Broner have a hard time fighting. Like, he would be the first person to go 2 rounds of Glass Joe at this point. Due to a lack of activity.
Man, he fought up 140, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
hell no, that's the thing too. He came in overweight.
Yeah, he came in at
147.
Yeah,
which he said he hadn't. In his defense, it's been 2 years he's never trained inside the bubble. So I'll give him that right there. But I was impressed with Robert Easter. Robert Easter looked super sharp.
Robert Easter looked better than he did in his last fight.
He had time on too though. Robert Easter a fighter. If you could put Robert Easter body inside Adrian Broner, his heart, yeah. Man, that shit would be nice. I like Robert Easter for whatever he lacked in just overall skill. He make up for it in heart, and he always go out there and fight his ass.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. He don't give a fuck. He get in that ring, he gonna fight. He gonna be technical as he can be, but he also don't give a like. He's gonna fight. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And I think we're all in agreement. Adrian Broner has the tools. You know what I mean? He would just rather be a fool, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Then take these young boxers to school. Oh, shit. Now, that was one. Yep, that was one right there. Nah, but in all honesty, fans, you know, it is what you want to see out of Adrian Broner. Let's talk about this Oscar Valdez fight with Burchell.
Yeah.
What did y'all think?
First off, I picked Burchell to win, and you picked Valdez. I'm not going to fucking dismiss that. And I'll be honest again, I've never seen neither one of these motherfuckers fight. But when I watched Michelle fight, I said, what the fuck was I picking? First off,
wild ass hooks and shit.
Listen. He a straight puncher's dream.
Yeah.
If you can and that's why Shakur wanted so bad. Shakur knew he would box his fucking ears off. Valdez, he was the underdog major. I wish I'd have seen these two people fight because I sure would have been on the fucking sports book heavy before this shit. I don't know what the odds was before the fight.
270 in favor, plus that's 270. Yeah, it wasn't big, but like
but
I told you, they've been hitting me so bad. I was mad I didn't make my little gamble and get some of my money back.
I wish I'd have seen the knockout percent because me knowing that Burchell had been knocked out early in his career, I probably would have gambled, but Valdez looked good. Shout out to Reynoso, his coach. He did a phenomenal job.
He's underrated.
He definitely is.
Reynoso's underrated.
I don't even think he's underrated. I don't think people in boxing know he's the man.
That ain't underrated, or you just saying unknown?
I don't know why you know shit about boxing training. You can't find him on the street. Don't free boxing training. They gonna say Cus D'Amato. They gonna say fucking Teddy Atlas. But don't know trainers.
Gonna be
people who watch boxing and shit. Yeah. The thing is, though, that Valdez fought a good fight, and both of them showed the ability to adjust. Even when Burchell was getting the shit beat out in the 4th round, he didn't go down. And then he seemed to get his scruples back. And I kind of thought Valdez missed his opportunity. I thought he was going to get stopped in like the 6th round because Burchell went on a fucking offensive tear. And when somebody fights so unorthodox like that, man, it'd be hard to get to him. But Valdez, he kept his composure. And he boxed until the bell rang. And Burchell, out of desperation, his corner telling him, you got to do this. The referee keep telling him. Even the referee telling him, we're going to stop this shit because the referee he's seeing the shit. He got desperate. He had that proverbial or what they call a Mexican fighter's heart where you throw caution into the wind. And he threw caution into the wind and the wind knocked the fuck out of him. And that was the end of that fight. You know, almost knocked the life out of him. It's like a cartoon. I seen that shit get up, his other him get up and walk out of him. You see that knockout?
Yeah.
So far for me, that's the knockout of the year. And although as a fan you like to see knockouts, you get scared. Especially when we seen Dadashev and Patrick Day last few years.
That was a dangerous fight. I feel like he was already knocked out before he got knocked out.
A couple times, damn near.
Yeah.
Talk about that, though. Just kind of explain that to some of the fans who don't understand how a boxer can still have his gloves up and shit and look like there's some shit going on but the farm has left. All the chickens is loose out the coop.
Yeah, you definitely can be concussive and still be able to stand up. You might not be able to hold your composure the way that you normally do, but you definitely can be concussive and still be able to stand up. And he definitely looked like he had gotten previously knocked out before he already
and
was
his feet
out.
was just still working. It's
Yeah,
almost like
as a boxer,
took the head off of a fish and they keep jumping.
especially with us doing it for so long. A lot of us been boxing since we've been kids. So when you get hit or you get hurt, your body go into like this automatic recovery mode, and you just start going through the normal motions and body muscle memories that you know you go through, but you messed up in the head.
Fucked up.
Yeah, so that's what you see a lot of times. A fighter can go almost 8 rounds, 10 rounds, just
his mind ain't there.
Mind gone, yo.
Body is so. What you saying? Because of your shadow, because of your training.
Yeah.
Muscle memory.
Your shit can be there, like in terms of you reacting to with a punch, but your mind is out to lunch.
Yeah,
I got you. Yeah, no, I can respect that, man. Shit, I ain't no boxers. I dance with the shit. I dance, fuck around.
Jason 1-0, goddamn. He anybody want that smoke, come and get it.
Well, shit, I already got CT. I don't know if y'all want to fuck with me. I'm like Aaron Hernandez with that football shit.
It's like when you drunk.
Nah, right.
You know what I'm saying? When you drunk, you still
motherfucker
drive. You drive your car to the crib.
Because you done that.
We do not advocate drinking and driving. I'm saying it ain't live.
No, we don't.
No, we don't recommend it.
But in the words of LL, they told me don't drink and drive. I said, what is this? Mind your business. I'm fucking right. We need to.
But we are glad that Brichelle, he came out of that. And the fight next is Valdez versus Shakur Stevens. I don't want to see that shit. What we got next?
We got Canelo this weekend, correct?
This is how come I always say Canelo not the face of boxing. There is no face of boxing today.
Well, he's fighting Yurden or
Floyd was the last face of boxing. Canelo, a superstar, is overrated. He's a hell of a fighter, terrific, fantastic fighter. But when you are allegedly the face of boxing, and nobody gives a shit about your fight coming up, you are not the face of boxing. And I'm not saying anything bad about him because Canelo consistently fights top competition. And when you do that, you deserve these kind of fights. He already have a fight lined up with Billy Joe Saunders coming up.
Billy Joe? Ain't no hope. Billy Joe ain't no hope.
Who pound for pound your best?
Canelo. It ain't even close. Huh?
In my eyes,
you're not the face of boxing, don't nobody know you. If you can't, the face of boxing,
so who is the face?
There's no face. I just said there's no face.
Oh, so
the face of boxing is where casual fans know you. Right. If you can go up to somebody in the store like Canelo fighting, I guarantee you they say who. If you would, when Floyd was fighting, you watching the Mayweather fight, they'd been like, yeah. If you just go up to somebody randomly and say, are you watching the Canelo fight, and watch their reaction, don't nobody know Canelo.
So let me just be clear. What you saying is
he gained his ground a little bit.
You say he gained his ground?
Yeah.
Go to the store this weekend and say Canelo fight, and they gonna say who, and he gonna say the redhead, and they gonna look, and they gonna say
Cinnamon.
Then you gonna say who, and then they gonna be like, what the fuck is that? So then, listen, Floyd fought who he fought his last real fight? The boy you mentioned, Berto. Did you mention Berto? He fought Berto. Everybody clamored to see that shit, even though Berto was nothing at this point.
Berto had already been knocked around.
Yes, it did. Canelo, he just fought Kovalev. Then he fought the boy from England. Now he's fighting the boy from Turkey. Nobody gives a shit. When you are the face of boxing, you can line you up with anybody and somebody cares. Nobody gives a shit. I'm not taking away from
that's
even
a
pound
valid point, but you still gotta look at this man's resume.
I'm not talking resume. Hold on. I'm not disputing resume or talent.
Yeah,
it's a lot of times when Floyd was the best in boxing. Before he became the face of boxing, Oscar was the face of boxing. Right. But Oscar wasn't the best fighter. The pound for pound best fighter don't always mean the most visible.
Canelo can't sell himself.
That's what I'm saying. That's how come I say and that's why he's not the face of boxing. Broner at one point could have been a face of boxing. Broner was super fucking popular, but he was never the best. His resume would have never matched up. So when I say face of boxing, I'm saying somebody who go out there and they can be a people's champ where people from different, no matter even if it's some because when you mentioned the English, Manny Pacquiao always had broken English.
I tell you,
but he was the face of boxing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody
They give me
gravitates
dim
to
sum.
him because he is charismatic. Because he is charismatic. You see what I'm saying? So
They come, Jim want them some.
yeah.
Jim and family want them some. No, I can agree. The only thing I was going to say is just simply this. You know what I mean? With that being said, I'm in total agreement, and I can't figure out why. I honestly can't
You're
figure
not
out.
charismatic.
No.
You don't have no fucking charisma. This
Okay,
motherfucker
so this is all I'm trying to figure out, because you are exactly right. Floyd could have fought kick his ass Seabass. You know what I mean? In an arena, and people are going to tune in, whether it's love or hate for Floyd, but they're going to tune in. But for Canelo, you do not get that. I totally am in agreement, but I'm also trying to understand that translation, because Canelo's everywhere.
And then,
He's got the popular market. Like
where he at?
I'm not
Hold on.
He's
hold on. Where he at?
He's one of them energy
You ever went
drinks
to a
and
store and
shit.
seen Canelo in the picture? You ever seen
No, Manny's
Hennessy?
Hennessy. Manny's Hennessy, but Canelo's on one of them.
That's
He's
what
on
I'm
some
saying.
drinks and
You gotta
shit.
guess what he on. That motherfucker on. He on.
I feel with you. Okay.
And I
Okay.
fuck with Canelo. 'Cause I
Okay.
like him as a fighter. Like I said, his resume is fucking incredible.
Right.
He got a right to take this fight right here, but he's not. And I'm not this. I tell Jason this all the time. There will never, ever be such thing as a face boxing no more. Everything too. This
So
is why
you're
I
just
say
gonna be a boxer.
everything is too common.
You're just gonna be a boxer.
You sit around on Instagram.
Is that what you're saying? No, I'm just
you
trying to be clear before we close this show out tonight. DOC is saying you're just gonna be a boxer
and you're gonna try to
in
match
pro
it.
sports.
Unless you can separate yourself from people, if you can make yourself an individual, which means don't be on fucking social media showing everybody what you eating for breakfast, arguing with your fans and things like that.
Right.
It's certain things you have to have a mystique to be, or you got to be able to transcend. We talked about Ali. I'm gonna tell you, these are historically the faces of boxing as far as I can remember. I'm not gonna go back to the Joe Louis days. Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson,
I'm about to say, don't you leave my man's in there.
Oscar, Floyd.
You don't think
It's
Roy
been
mixes
fought.
into that?
No! Fuck no! Roy Jones, my favorite fighter ever, but he was on HBO and shit fighting. Hell no, he wasn't even having pay-per-view fights. I'm talking about people
So,
spend. In
okay.
the history of my life, there's been 5 faces of boxing. People who transcend the
Okay.
sport,
I just-
who people gather to talk about. Everybody get up to see these people fight on a large scale.
Roy had that.
Roy never had
Roy
that. Roy
And
never.
I'm a Tyson over Roy. fan, like,
Roy never.
in terms of my totem pole with
Roy
him.
never even sniffed it.
I think he had a small.
Y'all talking?
You think
Listen,
it's real
I'm
small?
I'm not
small
talking.
in between Tyson and Floyd.
I'm talking. Roy was never a pay-per-view star. Everybody I named, people went.
They
spent
went
money for it.
bananas.
And then they had opponents. They had rivals. Roy thing was which he never had a rival, and it was nobody in his era and shit that was charismatic as him.
Even good enough to
Yeah.
make a good fight.
And so,
Okay.
and this coming from a diehard Roy fan, there's been 5 faces of boxing that I can think
I'm not
of since the
disagreeing
Ali
with them
era.
faces. I just, the only reason I mentioned Roy is just
It go back
because
to
Roy
the
had
people
that
think
shit.
it's the talent.
I get it, but he still had the talent. He
Roy
still
came
had
in at
that.
the wrong time.
He still had that shit. Roy was rapping and
He
shit.
came at the wrong
Motherfuckers forget.
and that's what I'm saying. You forget. You don't forget. You don't forget.
You don't remember Roy had that shit. He was kind of like Shaq. Motherfuckers be sleeping on Shaq had a couple little records. You know what I'm just saying?
Shaq got in the discography.
You know, I'm just
Low
saying,
key.
if you go into his shit, you be like, damn, that
Yeah.
nigga was breaking backboards and going platinum. That's some hellfire shit. Anyway, Standing A Live, before we get out of here, Jessie Addison, super welterweight. Follow him on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
They also airing the fight tomorrow on MediaCon.
MediaCon.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that an
MediaCon.
app or is it just a website?
I think it's.
If you get the information, just shoot it, Jason. So Jason
Yeah.
can shoot it, and we
Channel
put it
20.
on
We'll
the page.
link you in too.
All right, there.
Don't forget, you can take your own footage, send it to Standing A Live, and we own that content.
All right.
I'm just saying, we rock this shit. Standing A Live, DOC, Jessie Addison, man. We thank you everybody for tuning in.
Thank you.
Once again, please follow this young brother, man. He's doing things in boxing, and as always, he's a stand-up guy, man. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Standing A Live. Get at us. Holla.